Hello everyone, welcome to this workshop. This is the Architecting Serendipity. The future of virtual events is community. My name is Paul Jones and I am going to be running this workshop. I'm the founder of Bridgio and I'm really excited to talk to you about how we can create more serendipitous moments inside of virtual events. And I'm also going to talk with you about how serendipity in virtual events solves a very needed problem, and we as event planners can truly impact the world right now by creating these chance events that connect people. So today we're going to start by, while I'm kind of giving you the rundown, what I'd like to do is look at the chat over there on the side, and I want you to put in the chat the very first concert that you ever went to, or put in the chat the very first album that you ever bought. So maybe it was a vinyl record, maybe it was a CD, or maybe it was just a digital purchase. But go ahead and share that with everyone in the chat. I'm really curious to see what those are, really excited to look at that. To give you kind of an idea, so the very first concert that I ever went to was the Korn concert. I was 12 years old. I convinced my mom to let me go. I went with a friend, and let me tell you what, that was rough. I didn't even know what to expect, but yeah, so for those of you that don't know who Korn is a heavy metal band, and I was only 12 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. And we went to the concert, and everyone, I looked down into the mosh pit, and people were just bloody noses, and their mouths and teeth were knocked out, all sorts of stuff. And for me, as this ignorant little 12-year-old, like, that was intense. So anyway, put in the chat, what was the first concert that you ever attended, or what was the first album that you ever bought? Don't worry, I'm going to use that later to help you connect with people on this workshop today. So to kind of help us with those serendipitous moments. So keep that in mind. If you are looking to connect with people, if you want to connect with people, if you just want to share what that first album or what that first concert was, like I said, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm coming at you from beautiful Alta, Utah. It's a spring skiing day here. It's like 50 degrees and I'm feeling super excited. The sun is shining and I am so excited to chat with you today about some of these issues that virtual events is uniquely designed to solve. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to chat and define what serendipity is, and then we're going to talk about social capital, what social capital is and how that fits in to serendipity. And then once we have a good understanding of social capital, the different types of social capital, we're going to chat about how you can create more serendipitous moments in your virtual events and some of the innovations that people are doing. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to actually define serendipity. And for all of you out there, you're absolutely going to love this. Serendipity is the occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. How cool is that? In a happy or beneficial way. Now think back to virtual events. Virtual events, events in general, they do this. Actually, let me ask you all a question, and I want you to try to put the answer here in the chat. But this just came out from eVent. They asked participants, I think it was a 5,000 person study or 2,000 to 5,000 person study. They asked people, what is the thing that you miss most about live events? Put in the chat, what do you think everyone said? All right, so what does it say? What's your guess? Well, the research actually came out that the thing that people miss most about in-person events is networking. It's meeting other people. Serendipity is about those chance occurrences, those chance meetings that help you build new relationships. Let's talk about social capital so we can understand the impact of serendipity and how that is such a key, important word for 2021. Social capital is the competitive advantage created by the way an individual is connected to others. Think about that for a second. In fact, what's interesting about social capital is Your social capital is the single best predictor of career success. There are two different types of social capital. There's bonding social capital, and then there's bridging social capital. Let's kind of define the two and get an understanding of the difference. So bonding social capital are connections within a small group of people. Bonding social capital occurs inside of teams, families, friends, inside of your direct community. Bonding social capital is the deep relationships that you end up building with people. Bonding connections help us get more things accomplished and communicate to solve problems. So bonding capital helps us get things done. It helps us take an idea from an idea and formulate the steps and collaborate on the steps to get to the next piece. So let's talk about bridging social capital now. Bridging social capital are connections or links that occur between social groups or teams. So bridging social capital is all about having access to many different types of people. It's not about deep relationships, it's about going wide. Bonding social capital is a mile deep. Bridging social capital is a mile wide. And there's very clear benefits to both of these, and I want to spend some time talking about bridging social capital in general. So if bonding social capital helps us get work done, what does bridging social capital do? Bridging social capital gives us access to innovation, creativity, new ideas, new relationships. They help us as humans better understand each other. They help us push the needle forward, and they help us feel more connected to broader humanity. So bridging social capital is absolutely key to creating new ideas. And new ideas and innovation and creativity is the engine for companies and is the engine for teams. So if anything, when we see issues with bridging social capital, that throws a major red flag. If your company wants to be around for the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, you have to be thinking about your innovation capital, your bridging social capital, and how you maintain those bridge relationships. Some really interesting stuff has been coming out when we look at, okay, how did COVID impact events? How did COVID impact social capital? Well, when we look at events in general, we know last year was crazy. It was a struggle. But what also came out of that was Microsoft just released their meta-analysis. It combined many different studies, and what they found was that productivity has increased substantially, communication has increased substantially, teams are getting done more work than they've ever done, they're communicating better than they've ever communicated. So bonding social capital has increased. But what about bridging social capital? Bridging social capital, we are seeing bridge decays of 30%, meaning our ability to create innovation and our ability to build bridges is decaying at a rapid rate. The reason why that is because teams are talking more to each other, but they're not talking cross-collaboratively. People are in silos, and it's branching out of those silos that bridging capital, that's what bridging capital does for us. So when we think about social capital and how COVID has impacted it, we see a huge opportunity for bridging events, bridging serendipitous opportunities to build relationships, build new relationships, have new conversations that drive innovation. This is where the opportunity is, and this is where we as event organizers and event creators have an amazing opportunity to redesign and rethink the virtual event experience. It shouldn't just be about content consumption. It should be more about maximizing serendipitous moments, maximizing those off chances of meeting someone in a happy way, in a happy, delightful way. Serendipity. So I'm going to facilitate a serendipitous moment right now with you. What I'd like for you to do is go back up to your comment. Earlier in our workshop, I asked you what was the first album that you ever purchased, or also put in the chat what was the first concert that you ever attended. If you haven't contributed yet, go ahead and contribute that in the chat. Like I mentioned, mine was Korn. I went to the Korn concert when I was 12. It was a big regret, a huge learning point in my life, super fun. So I'd like you to go find your comment. Now find the comment that is above your comment. Find out who said that. make a note of that and reach out to them here on Untethered. Reach out to them and send them a direct message, inviting them for a 15-minute meeting. There you go. I just facilitated a serendipitous moment for you to connect with someone and potentially build a new relationship. That's what virtual events can be, and we can be doing a lot more of those, frankly. A couple more things I want you to know about social capital and building social capital. In person, what research has found is that it takes about 6 positive interactions so 6 positive face-to-face interactions for people to build a high levels of trust. So that would be 6 coffee sessions, or that might be 6 small collaboration sessions, or 6 face-to-face meetings. How did COVID impact this? Well, we're all virtual now. So it's now taking us 16 positive interactions to build high levels of trust with somebody. What does that mean for the future of events? That means that they need to be smaller, more curated, more frequent events that help people build those relationships. Another interesting point that I want to take across to help this come when we think about serendipity and social capital is 9 out of the 10 relationships that you will build during this conference today will be gone the next year. They'll be gone in 6 to 10 months. So we're seeing a lot of that bridge decay, those relationships decay over time. The reason that is you're simply not talking, you're not chatting enough. So we as virtual event organizers can create these moments for people to stay in touch. And that's why it's important to build a community. People are going to make connections at your event, and having small subsequent get-togethers is only going to help them build their social capital and open up new opportunities. How can we create events that enable more serendipitous conversations? First, one, recognize that you're building a community of people. So first of all, that's smaller, more frequent events. Take that massive conference that you do every year, break it up into quarterly meetings where people can get to know each other, and the primary purpose of it is learning quick information. Right now, our workshop is 15 minutes. That's it. That's the most that people should consume in terms of consuming information. Give them, create space for them to network and dialogue and have conversations. I had a very interesting conversation with the Las Vegas executive, and I was asking him, I said, hey, this was in July, so when COVID was hit really, really hard, we were in the middle of COVID. I said, hey, is Vegas gonna make it through this? And he said, you know what? Vegas is going to come out of COVID much stronger than even before. And here's why. The reason is because the future of events is going to be hybrid, and it's going to be smaller, more curated events. People are going to want to connect. They've been isolated for so long. They're going to want to have experiences together. So Vegas, if you think about it, is will be very well positioned to deliver on those wants that consumers are going to have. They're going to be in small groups. They can go out and they can be entertained. They can build relationships, and they can build memories amongst each other. So smaller, more curated, frequent events, I think, is key. The next one is design experiences that gives everyone a voice. I already chatted about this, but we need to have less passive experiences and more crowdsourcing. So think hackathons, think brain trusts, think side conversations, small group discussions. If you are innovating, if anything strikes you, if you have an idea, throw that in the chat, share that with other people. What are you doing to create serendipitous moments? Well, thanks for joining me on this workshop. I hope you were able to take away some meaningful information. More importantly than that, I hope you are able to meet some amazing people in the subsequent days, weeks as a result of this meeting. I hope I've been able to facilitate some serendipitous moments for yourself. And I am also really excited for the future of virtual events. There's so much that virtual events can provide. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My email is paul@bridgio.io. I'll put it in the chat for you. Have a great conference, and let's connect sometime.